Hi, Jerry Corley here, standupcomedyclinic.com with another episode of Ask the Joke Doctor. In this episode, we're going back to basics. We're going to take a look at a quick tutorial on how to write jokes. One of the biggest complaints I receive, certainly through emails and on Twitter, is I'm stuck. I'm having writer's block. I don't even know when to write. I don't know how to write. I don't know what to write about. This is a big problem. People get stuck. They're just staring at a blank page. If this is happening to you, I might have a couple of solutions. One dilemma most people have is they think they have to wait for some sort of inspiration. They got to wait for inspiration rather than create inspiration. So what you need to do is get your mindset into the idea of creating some sort of inspiration. There's always something happening. I'll give you an example. This Sunday, I was sitting there. It's Father's Day, and I had nothing really planned. We didn't have anything planned till the evening when my son was coming out from New York, and we're going to go have dinner down in Venice. So my day was free, kind of, and I'm sitting there, and I'm like, well, I should write some jokes. I think, you know what I'll do? I'm going to write some Father's Day jokes. So that leads us to the number two reason most people wind up in the dilemma. They sit there and stare at a blank page because they're thinking, I got to think of something funny to write about. Instead of thinking of something funny, just pick something and start writing about it. So when I chose Father's Day, it made it easier to write material. Right? First, when you say it, oh, Father's Day, I don't have anything, and we abandon it. So that's reason number three. So reason number one is lack of inspiration. People think they have to wait for inspiration when they just really have to create inspiration. Number two reason is most people are too broad in the concept of trying to come up with jokes. Too many ideas floating around in their heads. Narrow it down to one idea. Constriction enhances creativity. I learned this from a creative artist teacher way back in the day, or creative writing teacher, rather, back in the day. And she said, constriction enhances creativity. And I was like, that sounds so counterintuitive. Constriction enhances creativity? It sounds so narrowing. But in reality, when you focus on one idea, it actually helps you to create from that idea. The third reason is we come up with an idea, Father's Day. It's an idea. So we really don't see anything happening with it because it's not quite a premise yet, right? We need an idea plus a condition, an idea plus a situation. We need those two dissimilar ideas converging to actually have a premise happening. But we don't really have that when we just have like Father's Day. That's it, right? So we're like stuck. We can't think of anything funny. So we leave it alone. We bail. So the third reason why we run into dilemma, I think, is most people bail too soon. So let's go through a step system, right? So step number one, look up facts. So the first fact I came up with was each year, Father's Day is celebrated on the third Sunday of June. So what I look for is now, once I have this fact down on the page, I'm going to look for inconsistencies in the facts, ironies, coincidences. Then I'll ask questions using the maxim of the 5 W's: who, what, where, why, when, how, and start to step out these ideas, right? So this is your basic kind of creative process, sort of like the scientific process, but it's now applied towards creativity. Each year, Father's Day is celebrated on the third Sunday of June. So I was like, who, what, where, why, when, and how? Why did they pick Sunday? So the joke, I said Sunday is also related to church. So the joke I came up with was they picked Sunday so new mothers can go to church and pray that the paternity test comes up negative. So there's one quick joke. So then I looked at another fact. The other fact was Father's Day was started in 1910, 3 years after they started celebrating Mother's Day. So I said 3 years after Mother's Day. Why is Father's Day come after Mother's Day? Well, the obvious reason would be Father's Day is an afterthought. So I basically said Father's Day was started in 1910, 3 years after they started celebrating Mother's Day. Not surprising, since father is an old Indian word meaning afterthought. Quick joke, not a great joke, but it could get some tickles, right? Now, keep in mind, these are mostly first draft jokes that I'm putting down on the page, and I'm not doing it to say they're the most hysterical jokes in the world. I'm doing it to show you a process. So there's going to be a bunch of you out there criticizing the material. Oh, it's not funny, or it didn't make me laugh. It's a process. I'm demonstrating the process. So don't be an asshole. That was me being a dad or something, wasn't it? So I start looking at the maxim of the 5 Ws to expand on this idea as to why it took 3 years. Like, why did it take 3 years? So I use my imagination to come up with the ideas of why it took 3 years. It's like, it took 3 years before fathers even got a day. I don't know why fathers aren't taken seriously by the holiday committee. When shit got bad at my house, my mother used to always say, wait till your father comes home. Sonora Smart Dodd founded Father's Day. She probably worked for Hallmark or something like that. The irony clearly being that I have no reason to complain, because Father's Day wouldn't even be a thing if it wasn't for a woman. That's right, a woman founded Father's Day. It could have been a man, but the man was too busy asking his wife where he put his glasses. Another fact was, according to a study, 40% of fathers were disappointed because a child or spouse forgot to say Happy Father's Day. So let me say that again. According to a study, 40% of fathers were disappointed because a child or spouse forgot to say Happy Father's Day. The math works out because 40% of those fathers were also disappointed because they forgot to pull out. This is using a mirrored phrase technique to use the part of the setup at the beginning, the part of the fact at the beginning, to repeat it again and then put a second ending to it, thus creating a possible joke. Now, for Father's Day, my kids got me an Ancestry DNA test. I think they're hoping it's negative. There was another joke that came out from another technique, which is called listing. Now, one of the things I like to do when creating jokes, when I have the idea of Father's Day, is I just create associative lists. So, and I use subcategories of people, places, things, words, phrases, cliches, events for father. And so I just start putting down things: father, mother, dad, daddy, poppy, responsibility, ask your father, ask your mother, wait till your father comes home. So that's where that line came from. Wait till your fathers come home. Teach your children how to cook, do laundry, ride a bike, throw a football, hit a baseball. Typical dad jokes, dad bods. My dad came to all my soccer games, paid the bills, taught me how to mow the lawn. You're not the father. Maury Povich type of thing. DNA test, paternity test, ancestry DNA, son-in-law, nap, snore, watch sports, forgot to pull out, accidental father, Happy Father's Day, the stick turned blue, kids ask for money, live at home, leave the house, deadbeat dad, child support. So that's kind of an association list I put. So where were we? Let's go back up here to the facts. So that helps me keep going. So that's where the DNA test came from. For Father's Day, my kids got me an Ancestry DNA test. I think they're hoping it's negative. So that's kind of where that idea came from. And then here's another fact. According to the National Retail Federation, people will spend $20 billion for Father's Day. So I'm using that, okay, if this is true, what else is true scenario. Remember this idea. If this is true, what else is true? So if we spend $20 billion a year, what else is true? What do we get for Father's Day from kids? Neckties is a common Father's Day gift. And are they usually neckties that you like, that you're happy about, that you're excited about, or socks? Most common gifts, neckties and socks. So I said, according to the National Retail Federation, people will spend $20 billion for Father's Day. So if you ever wondered how many neckties and socks dads have in their closets that they don't wear, it's about $20 billion worth. So again, coincidence, irony, that's where that comes out. That's where that joke comes from. It's, again, doing that list and coming up with ideas. So then I got on this sort of a rant. So when I do my bits, I'll come come up with kind of a rant idea and just, open up the recorder and just start to rant on it. And this is what came out of my head. Again, this is first draft stuff. Don't judge it too harshly. It's not quite ready yet for the stage, but I just wanted to show you guys this tutorial on just getting motivated and just putting stuff on the page. All right. So I basically, the rant went, for Father's Day, I was gifted an ancestry DNA test from my son-in-law. I'm just kidding. I don't have a son-in-law, but this is how the joke would go. If I did have a son-in-law, my son-in-law gifted me an ancestry DNA kit. I won't do an ancestry DNA kit because I don't want to spit into a vial so some company can store my DNA and give it to the authorities if I murder anyone. I'm just kidding. I would never murder anyone. I would have to be someone specific, like maybe my son-in-law. But when I got this ancestry DNA kit, I had to make that face, like I appreciated, like I was excited about it, like, oh my God, well, yeah, wow, thanks, an ancestry DNA kit. Yeah, wonderful. And then he's like, so you can know what your ancestry is. I was like, well, we do this thing in our family called talking. Well, sometimes there's some spitting, but it's not necessary to find your ancestry. It's mostly talking. Like my grandmother on my mother's side said, we're Choctaw Indians, and we came from here. Ancestry DNA probably wouldn't recognize that because they think most white people are Europeans. So then my grandmother on my father's side said, well, your grandfather and I are from Ireland. And I was like, well, how do you know? Did you have an ancestry DNA kit? And besides, if I did ancestry DNA and it turned out that I wasn't Irish and Native American, I would probably have to rewrite all my jokes. But I enjoy Father's Day because it reminds me how proud I am of my children and all the hard work they put in to finally get the hell out of the house. My kids are older now. Some things have changed. Like the days of them asking me for money are long gone. Now they just send me Venmo requests. That was another joke that came out of what happens if this is true, what else is true. My kids are older. Most of them are out of the house. What has changed? Remember, if you remember joke writing 1, 2, 3, is what is new, what has changed, what have I acquired? So all of that's going through my head, along with the maxim of the 5 W's, who, what, where, why, when, and how. So all these things happen. And then, but narrowing down on the subject of Father's Day is what's getting me to expand to these ideas. Making the list helps me to organize all the associated ideas that relate to Father's Day. And so then I put Father's Day means different things to different people. My dad taught me how to throw a baseball, ride a bike, tie a necktie. My friend's dad is a truck driver. He taught him how to pee in a Gatorade bottle doing 65. That made me laugh. I don't care if anybody laughs at that. It made me laugh. Then I thought about, I was trying to do a joke of like, if things were different, like, for example, I said, my girlfriend called me and said, Happy Father's Day. It was either that or the stick turned blue. I don't know. I couldn't tell. It was a bad connection. Can you hear me now? So my girlfriend is a lot younger than me. I'm not going to say how young, but I did tell my oldest kids not to call me daddy anymore. It's starting to sound kind of weird. And that came from the idea in the association list here that we had the stick turned blue. And so out of that, I came up with the idea. My girlfriend is a lot younger than me. And then I'm not going to say how young. And then so in the list, I also had dad, daddy, poppy, right? So that kind of inspired that idea. Then the last joke I came up with kind of tied it all up a little bit. It said, Father's Day is just really symbolic, isn't it? I said, they always have to bundle it and market it with dads and grads. You ever notice it? It can't stay on its own. It's not even its own day. It's got to be bundled with dads and grads. You'll never see Mother's Day get marketed like that. You'll never see Mother's Day get marketed like moms and proms. Moms they would not put up with that. Moms would put the fear of God into those marketers. They might say something like, just wait till your father comes home. I hope this video tutorial brought some value to your day. Remember, it's just a quick video I wanted to put up just to keep you inspired and get you motivated and help you to remember, you don't wait for inspiration. You create inspiration.